Okay, so take 3, that's fun. Anyways, before we start, let me just say that the first time I tried to record this, the game crashed, and the second time my computer crashed. So that's a cool thing that happened and is fun. So anyways, welcome to Infectonator Survivors. Infectonator, I have no idea how to pronounce it, but essentially this is a game made by Toj Productions, and I always liked Toj. They used to be a Flash game creator. They made their most famous and probably only game is of course Infectonator, and I say only game when really it was their only game series. And really, it's just, there was Infectonator 1, Infectonator 2, Infectonator Christmas, and Infectonator World Domination. World Domination, I think, is the thing that people remember, because that was like the most fleshed out. And that's also available for free on iOS right now, as well as their new, like, runner type game, which is, I believe, called Infectonator Hot Chase. But I've been playing a lot of Infectonator on my phone, on my Android, and this came out on Steam, and needless to say, I was more than surprised. It's like 12 bucks US, which means like $15 Canadian, or something around those lines, and it's a very interesting game. It's a tower defense, it's an RTS. It's very interesting, and I think you really just have to see it to experience it. But I've had a lot of fun with this game, and pretty much as soon as it came out, I was like, I have to buy it. I love Toj, I love the Infectonator games. And the interesting thing about why I'm recording it now, first of all, I got a free day at school, and secondly, today is November 14th at time of recording, and November 13th, which was yesterday, Update 17 came out, which means, for one, my save got deleted, which is a bit of a shame. But more importantly, they added the perks into the game. So now the starting team has perks. I want to see how this... Oh, you have to use gems, okay. And that needs gems as well. Okay, so that's what gems are for. But yeah, here's your starting team, which you can pick, and there's 4. This is like the main guys that they've advertised throughout the game. It's scientist, worker, cop, and blonde girl. Then there's the good and the bad, which seems to be what most people on YouTube go for. But if you ask me, they are kind of OP because they start with like high tier 1 weapons. I mean, the shotgun's a pretty good weapon, and they're both still tier 1, but I mean, the shotgun's a good weapon, and I think that's the MP5. That was like one of the first guns I found, but it's considerably better than the stock guns. Then you have No Man Left Behind, which is Clinton Punisher Jones and Freddie Wong, who of course are YouTubers, which is amusing. And if you think these 2 YouTubers are out of place, yeah, PewDiePie, because why not? And then you also have the Left 4 Dead team. And in case you're wondering, you can find all these survivors in your legitimate games. I don't know about the stock survivors, but I know from my own experiences, I have actually found Clint. And I've also seen videos where someone found Francis. So that's just to say, yes, the Left 4 Dead survivors are in the game. They're perfectly playable, and you can also find them. And that's a huge portion of the game. It's very roguelike in the sense that you can find characters, you can find items, you level up, and there's also permadeath, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm obviously going to go with the survivors because they added perks for them. So the scientist, his main strength is that he can search through things really fast, which is obviously really useful because, like, you need to scavenge and shit. The worker, it doesn't show here, and maybe that's something that they could work on in the game, because right now it only shows it shows health on the health bars and it shows starting weapons, but I think there's speed, there's health, speed, range, which is the crosshair icon, then there's melee proficiency, then there's search, build, and I think something else, but I'm not sure. But anyways, so the worker, he has a lot of power with his melee weapons, which is why he has low aim, and he also has a high build proficiency, and you can build towers in this game, sort of like a tower defense, and that's something to look at. So the cop is probably the coolest guy because he's got the greatest perk in the game. It's been in the game for a while. It was at least in the last patch, that much I know. It was actually implemented in the game, they just never said it. It was sort of like a secret about the cop, is that he can actually reload while moving, and most of the characters, they can't reload while moving. But, so he has a really high aim stat, but the problem is that he doesn't have as high of a search or build. So that is a bit of a problem if you like take him on most of your missions. And then finally you have Sydney, who it's funny, she used to be referred to as a girl, just a girl. She wasn't referred to as a journalist. And there's also I believe there's actually a beta, like really early version that you can play completely for free. I say beta, this game is in fact an alpha, but there's a very early version of this game that you can play on Armor Games, and I played that and had a blast. And Sydney was actually named, like, Blonde Girl was her nickname, so that's kind of interesting. But I know, like, her nickname is sometimes Sid, and all the nicknames are randomized as well. So everything in this game is randomized to a degree in a similar way to a roguelike. And I've been talking for too long. Let's actually play the game. So this is your sort of starting thing. You guys are in a car, but you guys sadly have no fuel. So you go out, and it's always the same thing. You never start with any fuel, and the objective is to find fuel and find weapons. So let's go kill these. And what we want to do is we want to have Mike stand over here along with East. That's amusing, like Clint Eastwood. So, and now we're gonna have these two search through things because, oh wait, shit, no, I didn't want to have my cop search through things. See, I'm so used to having my cop bound to button 1 and my scientist bound to button 4 that now it's a little bit weird. So now they apparently all have perks. So I know Sydney has the ability to evade attacks, which allows her to stay alive for a bit longer. Scientist apparently has light sleep, which I assume every time after you're done you have to actually sleep, which means that there's a little bit of time in between missions that you can't do anything. But I assume the scientist, he doesn't need to wait as long, which is cool, I guess. So I searched everything. Oh, okay. So there isn't as much to search here, and there's also not as much of a choke point. But I'm going to search, and like that's basically all I can do. So let's have Sydney in the front and Frost in the back, and then just have these two hold out the checkpoint. Because I've seen a lot of people talking about that melee characters lose their power in the late game, but from what I've seen in the early game, melee characters are really good, and so are melee weapons. Also, apparently you can reload your melee weapon, which is maybe something they should think about changing. But yeah, I've been having a blast with this game. I've been playing it quite a bit, and I'm sort of just trying to get the exposition out right now. So as you can see, when they're out of ammo,